Wednesday tonight. I apologize because we're late. This is West Wednesday 681. So I just want to thank y'all again for tuning in. And it's a lot as every week. There's always a lot that's happening. And just to learn that tonight we have 28 names in a week span of murder. It's horrible. Like it's really sad. So yeah, that just kind of blew me. So again, I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in, and I want to thank everybody for my birthday love yesterday. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it, and I'll be celebrating all week long. So feel free to prizes, donations, anything. But anyway, but thank y'all. But yeah, so I wanted to let everybody know my warrior brother, Sonia Massey's dad, Mr. James, is in town, and he did a big, amazing speech about police brutality on yesterday, and he was going to try to join us today, but I know he's been like pulled from every angle, like going to speak to somebody, speak to people. So I just wanted to shout him out any old way, and I hope before he leaves Baltimore he can see me. If not, I'll see him when I come to his neck of the woods. But yeah, it's just a lot going on to learn. Literally 28 days. That's disgusting. And it seems like there's no stop to this. It's like literally we just came up last month on 13 years and we still don't have any accountability. None whatsoever. Like we have small wins where we get it felt like we ready to have something major happen and it just stops. And right now we're at a pause right now because we're still waiting for Anthony Brown's office to get back to my family. And not just my family, the families that and if you don't know what I'm talking about, so they did an audit of the medical examiner's office, and then they found out that it was like maybe 100 and something cases that they was going to reinvestigate because it was my brother's case and as well as the other ones. They pretty much was lied upon, and it was deemed a homicide. And with that news, we're still waiting. We're still waiting to see what Governor Westmore did because he said he created this special task force to look into the stuff. I didn't hear any more about the task force. We don't know what, and this is literally 2 years later. We're still waiting, and I'm tired of waiting. And literally, in a couple more months, this year will be over with. Like what they trying to take us to 2027 is ridiculous. It makes no sense. We need answers. My thing is, if you're not going to investigate it, just say we're not, or just say we played in your face again. We played in your face. We're not going to do anything. Sad day for you. We done heard this so many times. It's so disrespectful. And at the end of the day, every family deserves accountability. For one, let's talk about before any family deserves accountability. Every family deserves to be protected because if weren't done right, nobody family would have to fight for accountability. If protection was there, like we should have the whole way that anybody else feels safe and things of that nature. Everybody should have that. Like a traffic stop should not lead to someone getting beat down, murdered. A call for help, literally, if you're having a mental health crisis, should not lead to murder. Someone being in a mental health crisis or someone that's allegedly supposed to be looking inside of somebody's vehicle, they could have been looking for their own car, should not lead to murder. Like all of these crimes where we're getting killed for is disgusting. A baby with their mother going in a Walmart and somebody getting accused of shoplifting should not lead to a baby being murdered. That's just the whole bottom line. It's like, and it's not, and it makes me sad. And that's why I can't even hardly speak upon it because when is it going to stop? It seems like it's not going to stop. It seems like it's getting worse. I remember like a few years ago when we read the sad list, it was even though it's bad to have one name on it, but the fact that we have all these names, like it's real bad. It's real bad now. It's real bad. So my heart just goes out to anybody that's facing police brutality, anything. It's sad. And then I think about, and that's why I wanted Sonia Massey's dad to be here, because even with that killer cop getting those little measly 20 something years, right? That's not enough. 20 years is not enough for what he did, literally. Like he knew he was going to execute her, and he's a repeat violent offender. He killed before. Like, so this is what they do. Like in my brother case, Ruiz, the first one that pulled my brother over, is a repeat violent offender. If you look at Abdul's case, a repeat violent offender. Abdul Bilal, a repeat violent offender. This man was shot at over 30 something times, but he was at the killer cop was able to move to a whole nother district on another side of town. That's all they do is move these killers around. Instead of putting them in a cell block, they move them around to do havoc and harm in another neighborhood, another community. It is disgusting. We just want to know when it's going to stop. And the people that have power are doing nothing. It's like all the stuff that we begged and wanted to see, it's just like it was in vain. It was a total waste. It was a total waste. Because back before my brother was executed, I wanted, like, I used to always wonder what it would look like if my brother's life was stolen with the body camera footage. If the cops had body camera footage, still don't mean nothing. Because I look at what happened with Freddie Gray. All those killers got away.
There you go.
With on body cam footage and with video camera footage. Nothing happened. And then even in Sonia Massey's case, where you had body camera footage, this animal was able to walk in, and she greeted them. She never came to the door hostile. She didn't look violent. She didn't come bearing weapons or anything. And even if they did, that still ain't a case to take somebody out. That's not a case to take. They're not judge, jury, and executioner. But the fact that she came to her door and she greeted them and said, "Good evening, officers," she even by that sad, sick feeling, because the first thing she said was, "You're not going to hurt me, are you?" She was afraid. She was afraid. But even her being afraid, still trying to see, and the fact that she called because she felt like there was some problems outside of her home. And literally she get executed for what? For doing a command. Hey, go turn that water off. Okay, like just throwing out demands. So you darn if you do, you darn if you don't. So she would have stood there and would not have gotten up to turn it off because like you're not gonna start a house fire while I'm here. So she wouldn't have got up to that command of you get up and turn it off in her house where she paid bills at. How the hell you gonna walk in somebody's house? First of all, where they're paying bills at, they're paying the cost to be the boss. Yes, Tyrone West. That's right, baby. Tyrone West. Thank you, Tyrone West. Yes. Yeah, so any old way, with that being said, how are they going to actually come into her house and tell her what to do? Like they paying bills in her house. And she got up and she was talking about God. Like literally this woman was talking about God. When he said, you're not going to throw that on me, I'll shoot you in your effing head. He wanted a reason. And she like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And you execute her headshots. And then you want to act like you want to be released because you about to die of cancer. Because karma is something else. See, when y'all think y'all getting away with stuff, what you do to people will come back on you. You may not get it from the court system, but you're going to get it back. And I don't wish bad stuff on anybody, but I believe in karma. Because the same way you got our families crying, your families are going to be crying. And this can all be prevented. All you got to do is just treat people the way you want to be treated. The golden rule. Teach my students that every day. Treat somebody the way you want to be treated. Would you want somebody to walk up in your home, give you an order, and then blow your brains out, and then say, "Oh, this bee is dead. Don't even waste your bandage and all this stuff." Hurtful. But this is what they're doing. And then for me to learn, and I saw an article just on yesterday, that in 10 months, literally 10 months, 8 people have been hung from trees. That is disgusting. Eight, eight, eight. And each and every last one of them come back, oh, they lynched themselves. Disgusting. So it's a lot of hate going on, but again, I always advocate for love and peace. Because hatred is the reason why these things keep on happening. Because somebody with a sound right mind would never try to inflict harm on anyone, whether you got a badge or whatever the case may be. For you to literally hurt someone, take their life and go sit back down with your family is disgusting. And then I want to talk about the victims that survived, because everybody do not pass away or succumb to their injuries. There are more survivors than there are victims. You know, both of them are victims, but there are more survivors than the ones that come to their demise. And then the survivors have to go on with their life like ain't nothing happened. That's disgusting. That is so disgusting. But my point is, what are we going to do? When is enough going to be enough? Like, I don't want to be like Miss Dorothy Elliott, even though I commend her, and she's been in this fight over 30 something years. 13, I feel wore out. 13, I feel wore out. I looked at this thing when I came in, and I'm looking like, come on now, I do not want to be like Miss Dorothy Elliott, 30 something years, and still don't have no accountability. That is disgusting. And my thing is, she should have got accountability from the door. Archie Elliott was gunned down with no shirt on. So you could clearly see this man had no weapons. They placed him up front of the police vehicle.
And he was handcuffed.
And handcuffed. No type of threat. And then me looking at stuff like that, it really makes me really feel kind of hopeless. I'm going to be honest. Because you have a man with no shirt on that's a little bit inebriated, and then he's no threat. You put him up front with handcuffs on, and you were able to gun him down. That is disgusting. And nobody get held accountable. I think about baby Tamir Rice in a playground, playing a little kid. And the first thing they do is just run in there and take the little baby away in 2 seconds. First I used to think it was a couple minutes. Mother told me 2 seconds her son was gone. That is disgusting. And then the sad part, they'll kill our loved ones and go home and let and grab their son and hug up on them and tuck them in the bed, but you just took a mother's son away. You just took somebody's father away. You just took somebody's daughter away. That is disgusting. You go and be with your family. That is pretty evil. In all the 13 years, like I say, I never did nothing but spread love. And that's what West Wednesday has always been about, love. Even though some of us come from different backgrounds, beliefs, all that, one thing for certain and two things for sure, we believe in peace, love, and this system is dirty and rotten to the core. That's what we believe in. And I believe, like Uncle Bill said, it needs to be smashed and trashed a long time ago. Because I used to be trying to come up here and think of ways to like, oh, well, maybe we could tweak the system. No, this system is dirty. It's been dirty for over 400 plus years. And if we, in our mind, in my right sense of mind, think for 1 second that our oppressors are going to ever sit down at the table with us and make it right, they're not. They're not. They're not. They're not. So I'm right with you, Uncle Bill. It needs to be smashed and trashed to the core. So with that being said, I'm going to open up to see if anybody else want to say something before we get to the sad list. And then also before I go on, and I see my sister walking towards here, but I wanted to send a special shout out to my sister Angela, who literally rides over 4 hours away whenever she can to talk about her brother Timothy Fleming, who was murdered in his own home around his kids. That is disgusting. And this beautiful queen is fighting for her brother, and has been and will be, and not just her brother, but all the victims. You know, all of them. And this is sad and disgusting that we should not have to do this. This is not right. Like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, how many mothers got to cry? How many families got to just go through this? This is a club that we did not sign up for. Nobody says, hey, I want to be recruited. Sign me up. Sign me up. I was minding my business on July the 18th, 2013, when my brother was executed. Minding my business. Had a good day at work. Was doing my duty of working. And what happened? My brother was snatched away. My big brother, my father figure, my everything. So I'm going to leave it right there and pass the mic to my sister. Mic check.
Mic check.
I just also wanted to acknowledge that there's an epidemic of lynchings in Mississippi. For like the past month, at least once a week, someone is being lynched in Mississippi. They are really trying to bring back Jim Crow and KKK and all that kind of stuff. Like a young woman, I'm sorry, I don't remember a lot of their names, but it started with Nolan Wells. And then there was a young woman found behind a vacant building, so high up in a tree There was another one who was running from truckfuls of white guys, ran into a police station, and the police basically said, "We can't help you." And he was found up on an electric pole. So, and I think that one happened a couple years ago, but still, there are modern day lynchings happening on a weekly basis in the South of the United States. And this jerk off in the White House is what's driving it. He is giving people license to take us back prior to civil rights, prior to all that. He is trying to roll back all the way to the beginning of this country with slave patrols and all of that kind of stuff. But I also want to talk about something that I saw online because three major cities, Baltimore, Chicago, and New York, are experiencing historical lows in murder and civilian caused crimes. And it's not making major headlines. But what bothered me is the fact that all three cities have a minority mayor. And that is why the mainstream media is not covering these historic drops in violent crimes and murders in these three cities. You have a Muslim who is the mayor of New York, and then you have Mayor Brandon Scott, and then Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago. And they're all experiencing major lows in violent crime. Historic drops, like in Chicago, it's like a 60-year low. In Baltimore, it's a 50-year low in homicides and violent crimes. And the media is refusing to cover it. In fact, if you believe the media, you'll think like that Baltimore is worse than The Wire. But I saw a person, an influencer online, who's from Chicago, who was not just giving the credit to Brandon Scott and Brandon Johnson, because she didn't even talk about New York. She just was talking about the two black mayors. But she also credited Ivan Bates and Richard Worley, and I was like right under there in the comments, like, no, you are wrong. You are wrong, because Richard Worley is racist. Under Richard Worley, there have been more police-involved murders in Baltimore than in any other time in the Baltimore city's history. Like last year, and the month of July was fucking atrocious, and it's just continued. The last victim, Maurice Daniels, was shot 70 times while sitting in his car. 70. 70. Not 17, 70, 70 times they unleashed their weapons on him. And I put under that influencer's thing, I put a comment that about this. I said, no, there have been more police murders of civilians under Richard Worley. He is an atrocious commissioner. And Ivan Bates is as bad for the youth as Faux 45, Fox 40 Lies, because he's going after the youth as much as Sinclair Broadcasting is. And that needs to be called out. He does not deserve any of the credit. The credit does belong with Brandon Scott and all of the grassroots organizations that are in these streets, boots on the ground in Baltimore. Safe streets, for us, by us, leaders of a beautiful struggle. I mean, all kinds of organizations. All kinds of organizations that are trying to get mental health services for people, trying to get drug rehab information to people, because of all the drugs infiltrated on these streets, which I really do believe is coming from BPD. They're the biggest drug dealers in this city.
There you go.
Because they need something to do out here, and the only way they can get out in their hunting grounds is if they infiltrate these streets with guns and drugs. And you cannot convince me otherwise. But Ivan Bates is just as bad as Greg Bernstein. In fact, I would go so far to say Marilyn Mosby was a little better than him. And I'm not a fan of Marilyn Mosby at all. But at least she wasn't going after the youth like Ivan Bates is. He's been down in Annapolis trying to get laws reversed that protect children. He wants them to be able to be interrogated without their parents in tow. This is the kind of stuff that he's shooting for. He's totally in the bag with the FOP. Hold on 1 second. That's interesting. They were going in opposite directions. You'd think the cop would be following the fire truck. But anyway, so, Ivan Bates will retain an attorney on his staff, on his entire staff, that has a conflict of interest because she's married to Killer Ruiz. Sergeant Jorge Bernardes Ruiz, the Baltimore Police Department, is one of the dirtiest cops out there. And he is married to Assistant State's Attorney Michelle Battle. And Ivan Bates is retaining her on staff so that he does not have to prosecute these cops. There was just a story that came out of, they prosecuted these cops, right? They went after this one cop because he was refusing service calls and making up bogus calls so that he didn't have to respond. They'll go after that. They'll go after time clock fraud, but they will not go after murderers.
That's right.
They refuse to go after murderers. I'm not impressed of you going after a cop because of time clock fraud, or because he's too scared to actually respond to service calls, or because they're sleeping in a fucking parking lot somewhere. I don't care that you are willing to go after them for that. If you're not willing to go after killers, because if you all back in 2011 would have gone after some of these dirty cops, none of the stuff in 2013 would have happened. None of the stuff in 2015 would have happened. Tyrone would still be here. My child would not still be in therapy for the trauma you caused him. You know, and it's so fucking infuriating that they just want to act like, oh, I'm doing my job. This guy was on the clock and wouldn't respond to service calls. Well, thank God he didn't, because he most likely would have tried to kill somebody if he did. So if you're not willing to go after the murderer cops, we don't care about what you're doing in that office. We're not impressed. But to that national influencer out of Chicago, Ivan Bates is not a friend of the citizens of Baltimore. He's not a friend to the youth. He's not a friend to police brutality victims. He refuses to prosecute them. And Anthony Brown, as Attorney General, is turning into an enemy of the people too. Because he's supposed to be the people's attorney, the state for the state. He's supposed to be investigating these jokers. So if the state's attorney won't do it, and the attorney general won't do it, who the fuck is supposed to do it? Who is supposed to do it? Who is supposed to go after these dirty cops infiltrated in our system? I just need an answer to that, because we've been at this for years. Me, 11, she, 13. Archie Elliott, Mom Dorothy, 30-something. There's people 20-something years. If nobody is going to be willing to hold anyone accountable, what recourse do we have but to overthrow this system? Mic check.
Mic check.
I only want it back because she was on fire. This thing hot. But I will say when I was talking about the lynchings, like they were in Mississippi. Like it's going bananas and then a lot of black young girls are being missing and they're finding a lot of bodies with no organs, all that. And the media is definitely not covering it at all. So just be careful because it's real. The purge is real. And just like the orange agent said, all you got to do is get me back in there one more time. That's what he said. He meant that. Just like he told before he left office the last time. He said, stand back and stand by. I'm going to let y'all know. And they ran it all up. They ran up the walls and everything. They called it an insurrection. I call it a terrorist act. But they don't call that stuff out and ain't nobody get charged. Like you said, that's why they got them back in there so you can get them all out. And police officers were murdered there at the Capitol, and nothing happened. And it was cute. But we can't even stand outside there. We can't even walk now. We're in real times. We cannot even stand on the Capitol with one of our loved one T-shirts on it that says "Rest in Peace." They say that's you can't in the real, and this is real life. I went to go protest this year, and they literally said you cannot stand on the Capitol property with your loved one T-shirt on. Disgusting. So they are taking us back. Slowly but surely, they are taking us back. It ain't no questions asked. With all the lynchings, the murders, the purge is real. The stuff that we think we're watching for entertainment with some popcorn, it is real. It's really happening. And it's disgusting. So I just, and one last thing before I let you go, and I'm gonna ask if anybody else want to speak. But I saw something that was real interesting to me. They have these like little face masks now that look like sort of be actors and actresses, but black people. And you can actually put it on your face and look like somebody. And then this white guy put it on. He really looked like he was a light skinned dude. I forgot what actor he was trying to be. Pulled this hoodie on, and I'm like, interesting. Stuff like that freaks me out because you can put that on and go into a neighborhood and do crimes on us. The first thing it was a black suspect the whole time. It really isn't. So the stuff that we think is cute, like, oh, that's fun. No, it's not funny. Why? We can't be very vigilant to what's going on. They're playing right in our faces. And we sat back laughing and joking about it. And it's not funny at all. It's really sad and disgusting. So I'm going to open up the mic before we go to the sad list. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I just want to reflect this understanding of the West Coalition that it is an entire system that's not broken, that's not crooked, that doesn't have just a few bad apples. It is a system of capitalism. It is an interconnected system that the U.S. benefits from through their proxy wars, through their terrorist actions that they cap off as individuals or a freak accident, as something that we should not be considering is an ongoing pattern that is desensitizing us and normalizing us to this concept that we should always be in some kind of fear. Like there's always some kind of threat, whether it's abroad or within. And then the idea of even internalizing it could be a threat within your own neighborhood when we know exactly, like what's been said, it's the cops, it's the courts. It is an organized terror organization that is built on our backs, that's built on the ancestry of exploitation, of sexism, of racism, of the idea that we have to have people at the bottom for some people to succeed. And we understand that's not a sustainable world because going back to just a whole another century ago, we had wars because of governments that felt like there wasn't enough crumbs to go around. So they had to go and pilfer, monopolize, and get out their own exploitation in the matter of imperialism. What we're seeing is a decaying capitalist system that the U.S. is struggling to maintain. They're not the top dogs anymore, and the international society of governments is recognizing that day by day. Trump is simply just cracking the facade very easily, but it's always been that case that there is going to be a top dog that's going to be taken down when there are resources being plundered and exploited to a point where governments feel like they can't just have one small section of it, they got to start taking over themselves. So what we're seeing right now with lynchings, with over-policing, with drugs being put in, with ICE detaining and disappearing people regardless of their immigration or citizen status, it is all systematic of capitalism being in crisis. And my political party, Progressive Labor Party, sees that as the ongoing road to fascism. We understand that ideas of fascism are not just relegated to one political party. It is symptomatic of any kind of government that feels like they have to get their own control back over their citizens to maintain what little control they feel like they had anyway. Fascism is a process because when we see kids being taken out from school, doing what they're supposed to be doing, but having any kind of charges put on them, any kind of villain label put on them, is to get us ready for internalizing the thought that our enemies are everywhere we look, and that we have to start protecting the home front when the so-called home front isn't being garnered and encouraged as something for everybody. For people that are coming because of exploitation in other countries, because of exploitation at home where they have to switch jobs every few months, where they're constantly in crisis with their own family, having families torn apart, having people killed, having people prosecuted for charges that were not even substantial or legitimate. Having all these aspects of life being criminalized and being vilified is a process that is meant to get us ready for wider wars, to feel like we have to preserve something that actually wasn't meant for us anyway. And so how I see it is that the US is decaying further and further. They're going to keep putting these images of catastrophe that makes us feel like we're hopeless and that we have to keep going back into the next elected official so they can actually scrounge up the courage to be like, let's actually put the people first. But we see again, even in communities where it is a mayor or a governor or an elected official who represents by their race or ethnicity the population, they're going to keep bolstering the status quo because that is what capitalism is built on. If you are engaged in the system as a cop, as a politician, you are going to be a part of a system that is built on bloodshed, that is built on sexism, that is built on the murder of children. You can't negotiate with that. You can't rectify that. So having a system crumbling is really the bare minimum because that's really a life or death situation. That's how I see it. That's how many people are coming to terms with it slowly but surely. And every day that we see, again, more lynchings, more children being taken away from families, more fathers and brothers being taken away from their loved ones, whether through carceral means or whether through ending their lives, that's something that we have to all stand on front with and support people who are actually out on the front lines doing something, whether it's providing aid to people like family members suffering from earthquakes like the recent one in Colombia, or suffering from mass starvation, or suffering from genocide, bombs and drones, and organized warfare that has nothing to do with those people and their families. They just happen to be in the midst of those rivalries of war. That's something that we all have to get behind and we all have to fight for day by day. Every single day, someone is in crisis, and it is not the fault of the individual when it is a system organized to keep us down and keep us divided. So we have to smash this system, and it has to come expeditiously, or else we're going to keep fighting the same fights and having the same conversations without getting into an organized step to challenge the authorities that claim that they have our benefit in mind. Mic check.
Mic check.
Does anybody else want to say anything before we go to the sad list? Alright. That was real good, Kalia. Thank you for sharing. Alright, so I'm ready to say the statement and then we can take it from there. So it's the mission of the West Coalition not to just fight for my big brother Tyrone West, but for all the victims of police brutality and murder. We believe in mediation. We believe that if you can sit down at the table to talk about a problem, you can squash the problem, and every party walks away. And the list of names that we get both on the local level and the national level, the police brutality list is on the national level, the community violence list is on the local level, but we don't have like detailed information about it, who did what. All we know that there's somebody mourning the loss of their loved one, and we're just trying to humanize all the victims, you know, because at the end of the day, I believe that nobody deserves to be brutally murdered. I really believe that. Not even the animals that took my brother's life. I don't wish murder on anyone. Not on my worst enemy. I don't wish murder on anyone. So we believe in love. We believe in peace. So with that being said, anybody had a time? Because I'm going to take 1 minute.
It's 8:07.
8:07. So The time now is 8:07, and we're gonna come back at 8:08 with the police brutality list. Mic check.
Mic
Mic
check.
check.
That's 8:08 now. That was quick.
That was the quickest minute ever. Sorry, guys. So it probably was like this great turn, but so we just gonna start. So we know that a minute or a half of a minute, 30 seconds isn't long enough. So anyway, who's coming up first? Mic check.
Mic
Mic
check.
So for this list, we have, I believe it's almost 30 names, 30 or so names?
28.
Oh, 28. And we have two people who are as young confirmed as 17, and the oldest that we do know of that's confirmed is as old as 69. This dates back all the way to the 23rd of last month of July, up to just the beginning of this month of August on the 3rd. So I'll be starting with the first 9 names. On July 23rd in Topeka, Kansas, 41-year-old female, Jessica Treat.
Jessica Treat.
On the 23rd in Boise, Idaho, 32-year-old male, Daniel Konovalov.
Daniel Carnivalov.
On the 24th in Clearwater, Idaho, 54-year-old male, Aaron Comer.
Aaron Comer.
On the 24th in Miami Beach, Florida, 17-year-old male, Darrell Young.
Darrell Young.
On the 24th of July in Quitman, Georgia, 58-year-old male, Mark Alderman.
Mark Alderman.
On the 24th in Bellflower, California, 33-year-old male, Lee Davidson.
Lee Davidson.
On the 24th in Fremont, California, 62-year-old male, Edward Oliver Jr.
Edward Oliver Jr.
On the 24th in Austin, Texas, 17-year-old male, Anthony Williams II.
Nathaniel Williams II.
On the 25th in Fort Worth, Texas, 56-year-old male, Ricky Shane Lindsay.
Ricky Shane Lindsay.
And I'll pass the next part of the list. Mic check.
Mic check.
So continuing off on this sad list, on the 26th of July in Fort Worth, Texas, 21-year-old male, Andrew Isaiah Ponce.
Andrew Isaiah Ponce.
On the 26th, again, on Jefferson, Iowa, on the 26th of Jefferson, Iowa, you have an unknown male, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. On the 27th in Leola, Wisconsin, 48-year-old male, Brian P. Conrad.
Brian P. Conrad.
Yeah. On the 27th in Ocala, Florida, we have 45-year-old male, Jason Castillo.
Jason Castillo.
On the 29th in Fort Myers, Florida, we have a 23-year-old male, Aaron Spencer.
Aaron Spencer.
On the 29th of July in Los Angeles, California, we have an unknown male, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. On the 29th in China Hills, California, we have 67-year-old male, Zheng Heng Bo.
Shanghai Bo.
On the 30th of July, New Haven, Miami. New Haven, Maine. We have an unknown male, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
On the 31st of July, Fort Washington, Maryland, we have a 30-year-old male, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Now I'll pass it off to the rest of the saddlers.
Also on the 31st in Willoughby, Ohio, Jason Green.
Jason Green.
Also on the 31st in Indianapolis, Indiana, 53-year-old Lamont Johnson.
Lamont Johnson.
On the 1st of August in Gilbert, Arizona, an unknown male name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Also on the 1st of August in Raton, New Mexico, 68-year-old Paul Terry.
Paul Terry.
Also on the 1st of August, San Antonio, Texas, 69-year-old male name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Also on the 1st of August, Fairfield, Texas, a male of unknown age, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
On the 3rd of August, in Amarillo, Texas, 49-year-old Stacy is a male, Stacy Lerke.
Stacy Lerke.
Sorry for the pronunciation if it was wrong. Also on the 3rd of August in Lakeland, Florida, 46-year-old Larry Riles.
Larry Lyles.
Also on the 3rd of August in Mesa, Arizona, 59-year-old Perry Forster.
Harry Forster.
And the last on August 3rd in Independence, Louisiana, 50-year-old John Granger III.
John Granger III.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So I know we don't have a community violence list because normally Brian handles that and he's not here tonight. So we're in a way, just please take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. It's okay to cry. It's okay to call people and call them. Just take care of yourself. It's a lot happening. I'm sending prayers to Maine. He just lost his mother. I'm still sending prayers to all my family and friends and everyone that lost their loved ones. It's a lot happening. Live to love to live, because we waste time thinking that, oh, we can make stuff up tomorrow with somebody, and tomorrow's not promised, today is not promised. Every day is a gift. And even though some days can be worse days than other days, but make the best out of every day. And just, if you can, just block it out and think of something that makes you smile. When you feel sad, when you feel happy, I'm tired of crap. But when you feel sad, think of something that makes you happy. And it's like always put it in reverse. While you ready going to that dark spot of sadness, think of something that will make you laugh, whatever the case may be, but get out of that dark spot and don't dare go in that dark spot alone. When you think that you are by yourself, by getting stressed out about just everyday life can make you cry. Like every moment, just like back to back stuff. Just call on somebody. Don't suffer in silence, please. Live to love to live. We love you all, and we will see you next West Wednesday. Mic check.
Mic check.
That's how you